Okay, so let's pick up from where we left off. What I want to do is put in the two piston cylinder assemblies that are going to actuate the arm and the bucket. So I will go to Insert Components, and in this case I'm just going to bring in the cylinder. I can utilize the rotation menu here to rotate it 180 degrees around the Z-axis, and we're going to want to position it. Now, what I'm going to show you here is how to use a Symmetry Mate to allow the cylinder head to be equidistant between the two walls. I could use a distance mate like I did in the previous video, but this is another technique. So I'm going to select Mate, and it's not a standard mate, so I will close standard mates, and I will open up advanced mates, and the mate that we want is symmetric. All right, so the first thing it's asking is a symmetry plane, and the symmetry plane is going to be the front plane of this part. It was built so that the plane was going to bisect the part. So I'll open up the assembly. There's my cylinder. I'll open it up, and I'm going to select on the front plane. So when I select the front plane, the mate, since it was waiting for a choice, has made that the symmetry plane. Now it's asking or looking for the two surfaces that I want this plane to be equidistant between. So I'm going to select this surface and this surface, and you can see that the mate pulls the cylinder in between these two faces. So I'll accept that. Now I'll show you something that will cause you a little bit of grief if you don't know what's happening, because right now I want to put in my concentric mate. So I'll select this cylinder and I'll select this cylinder, and nothing happens because SOLIDWORKS thinks that I want to utilize those two faces for one of the advanced mates, which I don't. So I'm going to minimize advanced mates, open up standard mates again, and select the concentric mate. That's all it took. All right, so now I'm going to bring in the piston, which I will, so we have to close down the mate tool, go back to Insert Components, and we'll bring in the piston. Now this is relatively straightforward because I just want to put in a cylindrical mate and a concentric mate. I don't need to worry about the lateral position because it's going to be placed when I make the cylinders concentric. So I'll select Mate, I'll select this cylinder and this cylinder. I'll say OK. Now you can see that there is 2 degrees of freedom, a lateral degree and a rotational degree. But as soon as I select this cylinder and the cylinder that I wanted to mate to, that will lock it down completely. And again, you can verify this as you're going through to make sure that your assembly is fully defined. All right, so we have to put one more set in. So I will do that by going back to Insert Components. In this case, I'll bring them both in at the same time. So I'll bring cylinder in and piston in. So I'll drop the cylinder, I'll drop the piston. And I could have rotated one or the other of those, but it's really, it doesn't matter right now. So what I'm going to do is I have to again use the Symmetric Mate to get the cylinder correctly positioned in between these two. So let me go ahead and do that. I'll go back to my Mate toolbar. I will minimize standard mates, open up advanced mates, select symmetric. Again, I'll do the exact same thing. I'm just going to go to the cylinder. Right, there's a cylinder and a piston. I want to go to the cylinder, select its front plane. So that's the symmetry plane. And then I'll just zoom in here and select the two surfaces that I want the symmetry plane to be in the middle of. So I say OK, and this time I'm going to minimize the advanced mate, open up the standard mates, just drag this a little bit so I can see my cylinder. So I'll select that portion and this portion, and we'll get those mated together. Now what I'm going to do is I need to get these two put together. Now, when you're stuck in an orientation like this, I'm going to end up using a flip mate. So let me show you how that's going to work. Because if I select cylinder and cylinder, it's going to put them together this way. But You do have the option of flipping the mate alignment. When I do that, it will just flip the part, and that's exactly what I want right now. So I'll say Add Finish Mate. In the same vein as before, I can just select it and move it back and forth. So what I'm going to do now is I will select the cylinder for the piston and the mating cylinder on the bucket. And you'll see how SOLIDWORKS kind of just rotated the parts, and it almost broke the constraints and puts them back together again. It's just something that SOLIDWORKS does, and I'll say OK. So we'll pick up in the next video by putting in the pins and the new coordinate system.